Again. Okay, so we're back with lessons from the Leshem, and today we're continuing the topic of why did God decide to create the universe, create the world. And the Leshem brings a question of whether it's necessary for God to create the world or not, for himself, for us, etc., etc. And then the Leshem brings three concepts of three aspects of God, and that's where we got to so far. And now we're continuing the answer. So this is a continuation of the previous classes, of course. It'd be important to listen to the previous ones to see where we're going on here. So now that we've discussed the three aspects of God, so to say, kiviyachol, so to say, very important to emphasize this because human beings are limited. We have to divide things into understandable chunks. So there is a concept of God being so beyond us and so above us and so everything. He's completely beyond our all comprehension. That's God in essence. And there is absolutely no need for anything at all of any human being or any human interaction. And then there's the will of God, the will that Hashem wants to be manifest in the world. And that is the Ein Sof, whereas we are seeing this not a transition, a possibility for the world to be created, and then that actual manifestation is Atzilut, Bria Yitziran Asiyah, or the worlds and that we inhabit and the upper worlds. Continuing on, every resulting action from God becomes a compulsory action. In Hebrew, the word for compulsory action is echrach. It's necessary or compulsory. So continuing in the text, when he decided to will into being his revelation via every manifestation and divine name, every resulting action from this revelation is a compulsory action. In other words, once something above is initiated, it automatically has to come into fruition. Just as light that comes out from a flame must come out from a flame, so too must every divine action bring about a resulting consequence. Hence, he established his manifestations according to this principle. Every action that results from and comes out of every manifestation occurs necessarily and automatically. So there is a chain reaction, so to say, in the spiritual realms. Thus, in this manner did the Creator manifest and create all of creation, as described in the beginning of Genesis via every utterance. It is written there, as it says, for example, at the beginning of Genesis itself, right? God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. This is an example of what we discussed, this principle. God said, let the water below the sky be gathered into one area so that the dry land may appear. This should be familiar to you. And it was so. And God said, let the earth sprout vegetation, seed-bearing plants, fruit trees of every kind on earth that bear fruit and with seed in it. And it was so. And in this matter was all the creation manifested by the Creator. Hashem said, and then it came into being. Continuing on. As was stated above, God thus determined that all actions which are the result of his manifestation must be compulsory. Just as he established that light must necessarily come out of a flame, his decrees and utterances concerning the stars and planets, for example, it says, let there be lights in the expanse of the sky, and so it was, etc., caused these luminary bodies to be established in the sky to illuminate the earth, and so it was established. Thus we see that all his divine names and manifestations themselves are the causes of all actions. That's the point he wants to make, is once there's a name, all the actions that result in creation emanate from those names. All revelation manifestation from God is only in relation to his creation and not his essence. So now we're going to get to the actual answer. So pay careful attention here, and we'll also discuss this outside the text.
Can I ask a quick question?
Let's look at the text. Sure, yes, please.
What we just read a second ago, that all of God's doing, so to speak, are a reaction and result of his manifestations. does that mean, is that like, would you say that the Hebrew terminology that you would use to explain that would be like via his Atzilus, that the rest would end up, the rest comes about?
Yeah, you could say it that way because I mean each station above causes the station below it to happen. So the first station is Atzilut, but then everything that goes to Bria then manifests in Yetzira, and everything in Yetzira manifests in Asiya. So it's a chain reaction, but it initiates in the names that are in Atzilut. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Thank you for the question. Again, so now we're going to discuss how, now that we know that the setup of essence, so we know that there's will, and we know there's manifestation, and we know that manifestation is once something begins, it is necessarily and compulsory causing the continuation to continue. We now put this all together to get the answer to our initial question. All revelation, manifestation from God is only in relation to his creation and not his essence. That is the essence of the answer. Now let's see how it unfolds. We'll read it in the text, and then we'll discuss it to be sure that it's clear. Okay? What becomes clear to us from all of the above discussion is that the words of the Rav above, that from the beginning of this essay, seem to be indicating that via creation, the precepts of God's names and revelations are completed. In other words, God is beginning something, and it's completed through his names. Please note concerning this matter that there is no possibility to conclude that his essence can be added to via the creation in any manner. God forbid. So therefore, what is then? What was not in extent as essence before creation cannot be completed via any additional perfection, praise, or level. Nothing can be completed in the essence. It's completely perfect as it is. He's just re-emphasizing that point. Now to continue. All his names and manifestations are only what becomes revealed for the necessity of the creation itself. Then too, his essence, is only revealed via all his names and manifestations. Therefore, all revelation / manifestation is only in relation to the creation and not to his essence at all. In other words, Hashem is completing his creation. He's not completing his essence. That's the answer. And it takes a while for the idea to sink in, but that is the short answer. Do you have any questions up till here?
Yeah, I guess. So this is saying that Hashem's essence doesn't change, but
Right.
in terms of the perfection of once the reality comes into being, then reality itself is, so to speak, in a process of being
perfected.
a perfect, right, meaning that it's because it itself is now another manifestation expressing Hashem's essence, so it needs to like mirror God's essence in its own way, so to speak. So that's what's being perfected, but not Hashem.
Right. Hashem is not being perfected, but his creation is being perfected.
Okay, amazing.
So he created the world in order to allow the world to be completing itself. So all perfection, completion, and praise that becomes actualized in the names and in manifestations via the creation concerns only the completing of his manifestation itself. So that's a way to call it. A way to say it in English is to say his manifestation. So what is lacking in perfection is his manifestation. He created a manifestation that on purpose was imperfect, so it could be helped be perfected by his creations. But he himself has no need for that. Then too, this completion only refers to the names and the manifestations that affect created beings in Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, and not to his essence, which is completely other than creation. And now he's going to go into the details of this a little bit. But the main thing is, you have any questions here? This is the main point was just made now. There's essence. Essence decides to will a manifestation to come into being. This manifestation is purposely built in a limited way so that it can be completed by by the beings that he created, and that is what is being perfected. And Hashem wants that, though. Hashem is happy about that. He wants his manifestation to be completed and perfected by his creations. But he himself doesn't need anything.
So that's very interesting because it's kind of sheds light onto the nature of Atzilus. Atzilus
Right.
seems to be like this quasi status reality because
Mm-hmm.
it is a manifestation already. It is Hashem's essence being revealed, but at the same time, it doesn't need any tikkun. Like it already is in a state of it meaning it's not lacking Atzilus. Is that what we're saying by that?
No, Atzilus is lacking, but I mean it's not lacking in the same sense. I see what you're saying. No, Atzilus is where the names are, and we're completing his names by all our actions, which are mitzvot. So Atzilus is being built, yes. But Atzilus is an emanation, though it's not Hashem.
Okay. Meaning, wow. Wow. Okay. So what comes up
because it's so connected with Hashem, it's sort of like it is Hashem. It's an interesting thing. It is and it isn't at the same time, because Hashem is manifest into the essence is manifest into Atzilus. So, but that essence doesn't need anything. But because it's manifest in Atzilus, when you're perfecting Atzilus, you are perfecting something, and that's where the confusion comes in. Why people are saying, on one hand, obviously Hashem created the world for some purpose, otherwise he wouldn't have created it, but he doesn't really need it at all. So then why did he do it? He did it in order to give an opportunity to his creatures to share in his perfection.
Wow. So would you say that when they say stuff like, for example, like Amalek, as long as Amalek is around, so Hashem's name is not complete. So that's like,
But it doesn't say
so that's
Hashem
like an
isn't complete.
expression of Atzilus.
Name is not complete. That's right. Atzilus is not complete as long as there's Amalek. But of course, the essence is always complete.
Right. So it's kind of like there's meaning Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya are in their own type of category in terms of their tikkun process and the way that they manifest and express Hashem and how that they are, so to speak, restored. And Atzilus, you would say, is even though it's similar in the sense that it also needs tikkun, it also is lacking completion until that comes about in the world. It's a bit of a different nature.
Yeah, Atzilus is a world of unity. It's in unity with Hashem. And the worlds of Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya are worlds of separation, where they're actually separate entities. There's no separate entities in Atzilut. Atzilut is a unified emanation of a God. So what the name Atzilus means. We're basically getting into the definitions of what this stuff means. Right. So let's go on, yeah?
Thank you. Yeah, amazing. Thank you very much.
Simcha. Okay, so such praises that do not influence his essence in any matter include. So now he's basically giving examples. So we sort of gave examples about in our discussion there, but we'll go on with the text anyway. Such praises that do not influence his essence in any matter include: he brings all into being. He is good and benevolent to all. He's quoting all these different places in different places in the prayer book and in Psalms. Great, mighty, and awesome, right? That's Hagadol, Hanara, etc. Right? Furthermore, this includes all the blessings and songs, praise, Hallel, thanksgiving that are found in the Psalms of David. This also includes receiving the yoke of heaven, the entire Torah, and all the mitzvot. All the Torah, all the mitzvot, all this stuff, all this singing and praying and saying psalms and everything has no effect at all in the essence. This also includes all the revelations of his names and all revelation of his will and his actions. All this only relates to the benefit and favor it brings to created beings, as it were decreed by his divine will. He, from his hidden thought, decided to be revealed and to bestow goodness constantly upon all that love his name, doers of his will, those that cleave to him and always sanctify him in his loving kindness and goodness. He continues to augment his revelation and establish his names and revelations via increasing their light or by decreasing their light, God forbid. So all the praise and Torah and all that is all for whose benefit? Our benefit. Unbelievable, huh? Not for his benefit. God made the revelation and manifestation of all his holy names dependent upon the deeds of Israel. And so this is now going into more ground that we're more familiar with, but it's getting to the deeper level of it, which is why did God create the world? So that we could do mitzvot, right? All this stands and depends upon the deeds of Israel, known as the secret principle called service for the higher purpose. And in Hebrew, that is Sod ha'avodah letzorach gavoa. That's an important phrase in the Kabbalah. The service of Hashem for the higher purpose. As it is written, God gives strength to God, right? What does that mean? How can you give strength to God? Right? It's from Psalms. And also the opposite. It says, you have weakened the rock that gave birth to you. That's something Teshi. Let's see if I brought it here. Nope, it says where it is. You weaken the rock that gave birth to you. And you also see it is written in the Midrash or in Lamentations, during the time when Israel does the will of his Holy One, blessed be he, his power is added to the attribute of strength above. And during the time when Israel does not implement the will of the Holy One, blessed be he, it's as if his power of the attribute of loving kindness is weakened. So how can this be? He's going to get into this further. So we'll continue there next time, because I see that the amount of time that we dedicate to each class is coming to an end. So we'll continue next time on how now the continuation of this idea, which is how it relates to us, to Israel, which is how when we do mitzvot, we're strengthening God, or when we're doing avirot, God forbid, we're weakening God. What does that actually mean? Because it can't mean, we now understand that can't mean that we're actually strengthening or weakening God. That's not a possibility. So what actually is happening, he's going to describe here. But it takes a while because he brings a lot of passages to prove his point, first of all. Okay, any summary questions before we push the button for today?
No, thank you.
Okay, great. So all that's left to do is find the turn off button. There it is.